Hey everyone, you're welcomed by me, Reese Thomas, and Steve Tomlinson today, who you might not have seen or heard on our podcast or on our YouTube. But Steve is being introduced as an area technical manager for the London area. And so you'll find out a little bit more about that in this video. But straight away, Steve, just introduce yourself and what's some of your experience in the industry?
Good afternoon, Steve Tomlinson. I joined the asphalt industry all the way back in 1984, and I've worked in construction ever since, working on many projects with materials, refurbishment, actually working for contractors as well, and then joined the waterproofing industry in the early 2000s to where I've developed and learned a whole new industry and language.
Nice. So you've been in it, well, about 20 years then, I guess, specifically waterproofing.
Yeah.
But I'll do the maths. What's that, like 36 years that you've been in construction as a whole?
Yeah, too many.
Only just under double my age.
Thanks, Reese.
What qualifications have you got behind you then, Steve?
I've got a lot of HNCs and HNDs in material technology. Primarily, the interesting ones are asphalt and concrete, tunnelling, and even mining and quarrying, and the good old health and safety ones as well. So there's a few in the background. Had to go back to school, and the most recent one is CSSW for waterproofing.
Amazing. Okay, great. Amazing. So, about your role then, as an area technical manager, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, and who do you look after?
We're looking after a number of we're looking after a number of key clients. That is the architects, the engineers, the actual contractors who are doing the work themselves. We're managing them. We're on a day-to-day basis. We're looking to unearth projects and bring those back to Attel to be able to design the waterproofing and take it through to concept right the way to getting out to site, and hopefully giving the client exactly what they asked for in the first place, which is a dry basement.
Amazing. That's great. It's great to hear. That's what we aim. So regarding the next little bit of this, I guess, conversation, I believe you've got, say, like 5 key questions that you'll ask either architect, engineer, specifier, design team as a whole to get the ball rolling. Would you like to go for number 1 that you'd ask?
Always ask, if we're going to use waterproof concrete, always ask what the mix design is. The mix design is a key recipe of the concrete, the strength element, and it's whether that element is right for the job.
Cool.
And right for the what the element is actually going to be used for, because a basement wall is completely different from a swimming pool.
Yes.
Regarding to the design of the waterproofing and what's required to actually keep water in as opposed to water out.
Cool. Where do you see this usually go wrong then, or where do you see kind of mistakes made with this that you usually come in and help with?
Yeah, I mean, mistakes that can go wrong is things, details can be overdeveloped. You can almost throw too many details, too many products at a detail, and make it so complicated on site that there is always more of a chance of an error of something going wrong and ingress or egress occurring on the detail. So trying to keep it simple, trying to keep it buildable, and effective. Finding not always the simplest solution, but making sure the contractor understands what he's got to try and do.
Amazing. For the second tip or question, what would you be looking to ask?
The second question, I can't remember what I said now, just recently. Yeah, we
can be looking at potentially reinforcement.
Oh, the reinforcement steel design, didn't we?
Yes.
Yay. Yeah, the reinforcement steel. Basically, the different elements have different crack width designs.
Yeah.
And It's whether it's BS 8007, BS 8110, or if we're going back to European standards, EN 1992. So, so finding out what the engineer wants to achieve, also finding out what the possible insurance provider wants, because different insurance providers have different requirements. So it's knowing those technical details.
Brilliant. I believe the next one was to do with, we've already previously mentioned it, but this was kind of a tip in its own right. So what the element's going to be used for. So you can explain that a bit further if you want.
Yeah, because I mean, a capping beam, a great big thing, thick capping beam, may not need it all to be constructed of waterproof concrete or a 3 metre deep raft slab. You know, you can have the top layer of concrete being waterproof and the rest of it being normal, meaning it becomes more competitive and cost effective for the client. It's understanding what the project's going to be used for and what they want to achieve, basically. What everybody wants to achieve and pay for.
Great. Yeah, no, it's key information, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you remember tip number 4?
Number 4 was buildability, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, whether it's actually buildable, whether it's whether we construct it like the way they did it. A very old friend of mine taught me that you know that I can draw a man holding an elephant up, but I can't actually do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So you know, if you understand something with a drawing and whether it can be built, then the contractors on site will have a chance of actually doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. Then we had number 5, which again has, I guess, been previously mentioned within, so I guess they're kind of connected. But do you know what number 5 is?
I can't remember what I actually said now.
We had something around keeping it simple but effective.
Oh yes, always making the details simple and effective. Yeah, making sure the performance is right, products are right for the job, and then necessary using slightly different products to make sure that we can get it right first time. Getting it right first time is so much easier than getting it having to do repairs and remedials afterwards.
Yeah, for sure. You've got any stories of it going wrong in that regards?
Oh, yeah. There's one that didn't involve waterproofing actually, but involved a construction site where they weren't sure where the water main was, and they dug the basement out and unfortunately hit the water main and made it the biggest swimming pool in London.
Not desirable if it's not meant to be a swimming pool.
Exactly. So you know, these things unfortunately do go wrong. Try and get it wrong. But and of course there's the British standards to look after and the British standards that we've got to comply with, so that we do make sure everything's got a third-party accreditation. We've got the right numbers of lines of defence. We've got the right risk management systems in there to try and stop things going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's ultimately where I guess our company comes in, alongside architects and engineers in offering design responsibility for these designs. It's what we specialize in, isn't it? So in that regards, we take on the design responsibility for those who potentially haven't got kind of the specialist knowledge to be able to design simple but effective solutions that are robust and comply with obviously the British standards. And that's exactly where we ourselves slot in, and then that's where you will obviously be alongside them in that entire process.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only taking on that design responsibility, it's giving the architects and engineers and the clients almost like a bit of a check-in system where they could also send us something and say, what do you think of this? You know, just getting another pair of eyes on a scheme just to verify what they're thinking.
Yeah.
That's a process I think that's sometimes overlooked that we do, and we do very well. And it's valued, because sometimes when you're when you're very, very deep into a project, you can't always see something that a fresh pair of eyes will look at and see straight away.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's so good. That concludes our 5, I'd say golden rules, but you'd say questions to ask the design team to ensure that the project will run smoothly, on schedule, cost effectively, and according to the British standards. That's really helpful. Thank you very much, Steve.
No worries. No worries.